Am I live? Am I live? I am live. Sorry about that, guys. I was some technical stuff I'm trying to get done. I'm sorry. Just kind of messed that up. But I'm here. I'm here. We are live. We are live. As you can see in the chat box, Taisha is trying to join us. So that was I had some technical difficulties trying to get her the information. So hopefully she can join us soon. And then hopefully she can get on. So Taisha, let me know if you still can't get on. But that's the link from what I sent you. What I text you is the link from StreamYard. So hopefully that gets you in. So let me know. But I want to wait a couple of minutes and let people get on. Let me know if you are here. Sharon, appreciate it. What's going on, Sharon? How you doing out there in Arizona? I apologize to people. I had to switch it to Wednesday this week because I have something going on with school tomorrow. Actually, it's a Mansa Musa. Somebody's doing a presentation on Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa. So it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing that. So yeah, school is heavy. School is busy, but it's a good busy. So I appreciate that. Yep. Learning a lot. As a matter of fact, some of the stuff we're going to talk about today is from what we've been going over in school in one of my classes. So some good information. So let me wait just a couple of more minutes for other people to join. If you are on, please send us a message in the chat comment section. Let us know that you're on. Say hello to me and everybody else. And so we'll wait a couple of minutes. Eventually, I'm going to get some music to lead us in for a few minutes, so give people time to kind of get on because I like for people to be here and hear the entire podcast, entire presentation. Christine, greetings. How are you? Good to have you. Good to have you. Ooh, I think Sharon just made a comment about to go through induction to Phi Theta Kappa in April. Congratulations, Sharon. Congratulations. Good deal. I didn't know you were in school. Are you in school, Sharon? I thought when you said school heavy, I thought you was talking about me. But sounds like you may be in school as well. Is that the case, Sharon? So as I said before, I'm going to give it a couple of minutes. Hopefully, we can get Taisha on live. It'll be exciting to have Taisha live. But while we're doing that and waiting for maybe Taisha to come in, um, let me begin as I always do by first thanking the before mentioned Taisha for everything that she's done, and it looks like she is here. Hey! Oh, this is gonna be a good day. This is already a good day. But let me as I always do, thanking Taisha for everything that she's done. She has been more than instrumental in getting me here. And so we certainly appreciate Taisha and everything that she's done. In a few minutes, we're going to hear a little bit from her and kind of get an update on what she's been doing. But we're so happy to have her. And secondly, I would like to say thank you, as always, to my wonderful wife, Salima, who is my number one support, my number one fan, who does all of the technical stuff behind the scenes. What Taisha don't teach me, my wife Salima does. So I'm in good hands. So thank you to Taisha and my wife Salima. There's some noise, background noise. I think Taisha going. Taisha, are you able to hear us? She had to go back out. She was here, but she left. Hopefully she will be back. Um, so we'll sort of get started. We'll take it slow to begin with, and then we'll get into it. Hopefully, Taisha will join us and we'll come back. I think she's trying to fix her thing, her computer and everything up. But glad to have you guys today. Uh, Again, it's Wednesday. Usually we do it Thursday at 6 Thursdays at 6 o'clock. But we had to do Wednesday today because of school. I have something going on with school. Uh Sharon says, sending love to the support systems. They do a lot of work. Yes, they do. I would not be here without Taisha and my lovely wife, Salima. So absolutely. So we got Taisha back again. So before we get started, let me let Taisha. Taisha, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear. Thank you so much. I was trying to hurry up and get in here. I am so happy to be here tonight. So I miss y'all. Happy New Year. And I look totally different about 30 minutes ago. I have to fluff out my fro, but I want to give a shout out to you and your wife's brand, Hydrotherma Naturals. This is what I used throughout my pregnancy. My hair is like great. It has not shed at all. I credit it to your amazing product line as well as my vitamin regimen and some other stuff. And yeah, I'm so grateful and happy to be here.
But we appreciate that so much. I'll tell my wife she definitely will appreciate that. She is the genius behind the brand. My only job is to deal with some customers, inventory, and the money. But the actual products is her creation. They are her creations, and so she will say thank. I'm speaking for her. She says thank you
Yes.
so much for your support, Taisha. We certainly appreciate that. So the people are happy to see that you're here today, Taisha,
I am
and
happy to be here. I was gonna
uh,
bring baby Tiger, but
ah,
she was a little angry. We went on a walk throughout the trail, and she had a good time. The weather is beautiful, and so we got
yeah,
back. She ate, she played, and she went ahead and she's cuddling with her dad right now. So
good deal. Well,
next time I would show her off.
next time, yeah, absolutely. So what's going on with you? What have we missed?
Oh my gosh, everything. Just adjusting to, being mommy 2.0 because a lot has changed. Oh my gosh, like my son, okay, I had baby Tiger a week after my son turned 18. So a lot changed on that time. So, but I'm having a great time, found a new community. Yes, I was trying to push myself, to get back out there, do content, do this, but you're already wearing a million hats, as a mom, and I'm doing everything, as far as taking or seizing this opportunity. But, I'm glad that you invited me so that I can like get back into the habit of creating content and connecting with the family. I just want to say to Mama Sharon, my Navy mom, she has been there for me throughout this whole time as well. So thank you for what happens behind the scenes to get me back on camera. So I really appreciate it. So that's pretty much it. Everything's the same. Just being a mommy 2.0 for 3 months now, and still same thing with work, getting ready to start my garden. Yes, this year I'm getting the crops out there, starting that up, so you'll see some of that on my channel, and just really embracing womanhood. I think this is like the best year of my life. So
Awesome. Well, we are happy to have you to join us in this conversation. Just quick, Sharon. Sharon is in Arizona, right?
yes,
Sharon, if you ever make your way to Georgia,
she will.
when you come, we all need to go out. We got to get Taisha up here into Atlanta, or if both of you guys are in, where you're in Macon, right, Taisha?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just an hour drive. So
Yep.
I'll drive south. Me and Salima, we'll drive south if
It's
y'all
just the
got some good restaurants
traffic.
down
It's
there.
just it's just the traffic, but I still want that
The traffic
Ethiopian
is
food, but now that baby Tiger's a little older and I'm still craving Ethiopian food, so, I think we may see you this month. We'll
okay.
we'll we'll, talk offline, so we're gonna
You
gonna
have
see you
got to
this
come.
month.
You got to come this way to get the
Absolutely.
Ethiopian food. My wife got restaurants lined up Ethiopian food.
We
She'll be
will be
ready.
there.
So good. So let's get into this. Again,
Good
glad to
topic
have you
today.
guys. So the topic today is Christianity and racism, the connection, the relationship between Christianity and racism. And what made me think about this, or what made me use this as a topic today, was over the last couple of weeks in one of my classes in school. Um, and those of you know, I'm in school getting a master's degree in religious studies. That's a whole long story, but yeah, so it's going great. It's going awesome. But we got into um, we're taking a class called American Religion in the South, and so we're going through the whole evangelical phase, early stages of Christianity, the Ku Klux Klan, all of that, and how I think we all know that there's a relationship between, especially westernized Christianity and racism. But what I think a lot of people don't know is how deep that relationship go. And so today I wanted to address some of that. I wanted to bring some of that up for conversation. Have you, Taisha, chime in, and anybody else who want to chime in on it. But I think it's an important topic for this reason here. We oftentimes, as African Americans, especially those of us in the South and those of us who are devout Christians, we oftentimes will make excuses for the racism that is around Christianity, regardless of whether it's what we say is westernized or whatever. But inbred in the practice of Christianity is racism. And oftentimes African Americans will make excuses for the racism, everything from, the interpretation is wrong, or it's not of God, these are individuals doing individual things, to Christianity started in Africa, or whatever excuses or defenses that are used to absolve Christianity of its elements of racism and the way it's been used is thrown out there. And I know when people hear this, especially believers, I'm going to get pushback that this is, the word of God. This is not the word of God, or this is just people misusing Christianity like people misuse everything else. So let me start off by saying this before we get deep into it. My biggest contention, and I'm going with the premise that this God that you believe in is real. So my biggest contention is that an all-knowing, all-powerful God that you believe exists, for that individual not to a uh, in his words, whether it be the Old Testament or New Testament, say that racism is wrong, that having slavery is wrong, asserting those things, actually saying those things is is a problem for me. This is an all-knowing God who knew that at some point his so-called word would be used as a tool to enforce slavery and used as an excuse for slavery and racism. And so, just on that point alone, I have an issue with that. And so, if you tell me as a believer that, well, God is there and there's nothing he can do about this, these are people acting on their own, you are the same individuals that will pray to the same God to change the outcome of something else, whether it be to bless you with a job, or make somebody who you think is not going to do something favorable for you, do something favorable for you, whether it's to change the minds of someone, to bless you with money or a new car, whatever it is. You're praying to this God to circumvent whatever is going to supposedly naturally occur in a lot of cases, right? So why can't this God, or why didn't this God circumvent, or what he circumvent the behavior of those individuals that wanted to enslave, or that did enslave our ancestors? The same way that you're praying for things and you believe that this God has blessed you with those things, it's the same way that our ancestors prayed for freedom and prayed not to be enslaved, and yet our ancestors spent, hundreds of years enslaved. And if you count the entire process through Jim Crow and segregation, we're talking about 400 years, right? So that is one of the things that made me want to talk about this. Taisha, you have anything on that?
I just want to say, can you send me the link, or do not give? I hope you did not rent the textbook for this class. Hopefully, you cap it and put that on the bookshelf, because I would love to check that out. But yeah, that's one thing I had to realize, like moving down here to the Bible Belt. I knew how deep the religious roots ran with Black people a couple years ago. I knew some people from Mobile, and that was my time when I was coming out, out of Christianity. And these people, they thought I was the wicked witch, because I'm like, I don't believe in this. Why do you believe in it? And if you look at it, Mobile, I brought up to them their own city. There's a street named after a Black man who was murdered by the KKK, and it was something where they took him to court or something like that. I forgot how it went, but I think the brother's name was like McDonald or something like that. It's in Mobile. But I'm like, how can y'all hold on to this religion and y'all see what people have done in the name of religion? Like, there's no way you can worship and pray to the same God as your enemy, because if you look at it, the God is going to answer one of y'all if you believe that's going to happen. But it's insane to do that. when we look at the history, when I look at Black people in America with religion, it's just church goers. A lot of times now, people don't even carry a Bible to church. They just go and they have this pastor or this person up on the pulpit. Sometimes they're not even a pastor, been to seminary or anything, but they're just putting on a show, getting attention, being this quasi celebrity, and just giving you some feel goods, not teaching, not changing your circumstance. But yet you'll have these mothers of the church, these fathers of the church who spend their entire lives there and nothing has changed. It's just they're just going out of routine, out of habit. And when I look at the churches around here in Georgia, especially here in Macon, it's so funny. Last year there was a tornado that had came through. It was a storm, and there was a church that had a steeple. Well, the steeple fell over. And I'm like, God didn't protect that church. Or there was another church. I'll post a link, but it's a Black church here in Macon. They were having carry your own cross 1 mile walk. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It just shows just how childish it really is. And outside of this so-called tradition, culture, the first 4 letters in culture is cult, it's just silliness. You just going to go lollygag and, but I don't see the point in this system of Christianity when this one of the slogans is in hoc signo vinces, if I pronounce that right, in this sign we shall conquer. So you're being conquered, you're a conquered mind. And one thing that's funny, I'll end on this real quick. When I joined the Navy, it was first time, I actually left Ohio. So when I was driving back and forth from Ohio to Virginia, I would see off in the distance, I'll see these huge crosses, these 3 large crosses. And so I thought that meant it was Klan territory. So I would hurry up. I wouldn't stop for gas. I'll just keep driving like, oh my gosh, the Klan, they're going to burn those crosses. I just kept going. But that's the thing that I thought of whenever I see the cross. Like, I don't see anything that brings me peace with the cross. I think it's insane how we have Black people who go and tattoo that on themselves, who wear the cross. It's a murder scene. And it's nothing but bad news and bad luck for Black people.
Yeah, we had a conversation today in one of my classes as well. We talked about the cross as a symbol because we get into symbolism, and so the Protestants, just the cross itself is what most Protestants wear, and then when you get the cross with Jesus' body on it, that's a crucifix, I mean, crucifix cross. Mostly Catholics wear that, but we talked about how this was the tool that was used to kill your God, your deity, and you wear it around your neck. I mean, it's like Jewish people wearing an oven around their neck, right? It's like your loved one being shot, killed with a gun, and you wearing a gun around your neck as remembrance to that loved one. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I just, you mentioned that kind of brought that to mind. Uh, but again, when we talk about why we do what we're doing, Christina mentioned it. She said, question everything. And so my purpose is always to try to educate people, and also to make people just think for a minute about, as Taisha said, the customs, the things that we've been doing for generation after generation after generation, including the things that we believed in without questioning those things. So this podcast today is one of those podcasts that says, slow down for a minute, think about what it is that you're doing, think about what it is that you believe in, and ask yourself, why is it that you believe in this in spite of the things that you see? And so you look at the Bible again, Old Testament, we talk about the curse of Ham. Again, I ask the question, your all-knowing God understood or should have understood that down the line somewhere that this passage, this scripture, these scriptures, as as out of order as people interpret them to be, that they were still going to be used as an excuse for to enslave us. And here's the thing: not only are those passages of scriptures being used or were used by white people, the colonizers, Europeans, to as a defense for enslaving us, Black people also use those scriptures as an excuse as to why we're in the condition that we're in, excusing the
Those Power Rangers
behavior.
that sit on the corner.
Yeah, right. Excusing the behavior of those who have oppressed us by saying, it is divine that we are being oppressed because here's the scriptures in the Bible that say we should be oppressed. So again, it is a really a weird way of thinking. It is a sick way of thinking. And so again, I ask the question: what this God didn't know this? This God knew enough to say, don't commit adultery, no fornication, you can't eat shrimp, you can't wear mixed fabrics, but he couldn't say, racism is bad, slavery is bad, um, slavery of any sort is bad, and especially when it's based on a race or an ethnicity. So it is just questions that you ask. Again, we want to pose those questions today on this podcast and just have people to think. You don't have to agree, but at least I want you to think. I want you to ask those questions. And those of you who turn on this podcast and listen, and you're still part of the church, you're still part of Christianity, take these questions to your minister, your Sunday school teacher, your rabbi, your priest, whatever, anybody that's supposed to be knowledgeable of Christianity or any of the Abrahamic faiths, and ask these questions. Why are African Americans so devout to a religion that has been instrumental in our oppression, instrumental in our slavery, instrumental in racism toward us and other marginalized communities, but yet we are still so devout to this faith and the deity that represents this faith. Um,
If
yeah, go ahead.
anything, when you think about it, Black people should be the furthest away from Christianity and the Bible. For example, take the court. You put your hand on the Bible or you swear under oath. It's supposed to be this whole charade under God, but we are oftentimes railroaded in church. We get the worst end of the stick in church. That's what I'm not church in court. We get the harshest sentences. We are given mandatory minimums. So it's not favorable for us in any realm that you put it in.
Yep, absolutely. Just a couple of comments here. Amanda, how you doing, Amanda? Amanda said, "OMG, I am so excited." Who excited? Excited too, Amanda. I'm glad that you're here. She said, use them to their benefit them as well. Then Christine said something really powerful. She said, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's book, The ISIS Papers, Chapter 5, The Symbolism of Christ, the Cross, the Crucifix, the Communication, and Christian Holidays. Um,
She is
those of
so
us,
right. I
she's
actually have that book. I have that book. I love that chapter. And once I'm so glad you brought that up because once you go into that, then one of our master teachers who is now an ancestor, Dr. Barashango. Me, I'm heavy on the holidays, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I need to check myself because I'm outnumbered. So usually I just keep the peace. I fall in line, but I'm like, I need to stand firm on what I believe. But yes, all that is tied into each other. And once you understand that, and as you said, take these questions to your faith leader, your pastor, I guarantee you that will be the day that will be your last day at church because you won't get the answers that you're looking for. You're going to be kind of bamboozled, and that will be your last day. So that's what's going to happen. And I'm foreseeing it because that happened to me.
Yep, I'm gonna tell you if you are newly on this journey, if you are new to what we call woke, and we're talking about not this new BS that they're talking now. Those of us who are woke understand what that really means. Going way back, those of us who have gotten out of the matrix and trying to find our way. 30 years ago, for me, the first two books that I was giving and told to read, the first two books when I was 20 years old, early 20s, was Before the Mayflower and the ISIS Papers. And I still have both of those books today. Both of those books are long books. Before the Mayflower is an extremely thick book, but it's so much information in there. And ISIS Paper is it is a really good read. It is a deep read. It is a very deep read. You need to really be thinking as you read that book. But it is the two books that I recommend for people who are new to this journey and have a lot of questions. They are must have. If you don't have those two books in your library and you're part of this conversation, I would question your authenticity. Are you really on this journey, right? So I'm glad
Got
that
to
you brought that
step
up.
my game up, get that book.
Oh yeah, so it's called Before the Mayflower. That and Isis Paper. So those are the first two books I had that I read, and so yeah, absolutely. Um, what? Oh yeah. So Papa Soul Searcher, how you doing? You said question will force them to think, and the very Bible they follow tells them not to lean toward their own understanding. Simply saying, "Don't think for yourself." I get it. It's a lonely road. Here's the thing: what we've learned once we're able to look at religion, in particular Christianity, from outside and objectively. One of the things that I noticed early on was the number of safety mechanisms, as I call it, that to keep you from thinking. So everything from when I was younger, everything from being told that if you question it, that means the devil is in your head, right? So that kept me from questioning it. And then what Papa Soul Surgeon just said, not leaning on your own understanding. If you really break that down, that is one of the most asinine statements that someone can make. So you mean to tell me that my research, my study, my understanding of stuff, I should just totally disregard that, and go with something that I'm waiting for this supernatural being to impart on me? It makes absolutely no sense. If that was reality, then none of us would be doing anything. We wouldn't be doing anything in school or at our jobs, or Taisha's raising a baby. If she said to herself, "Well, I don't understand. It's not coming from me. I just got to sit here and wait until some divine deity sends me instructions on how to raise my child." How asinine and insane would that be?
And
And
let me tell
so,
you, I gave birth here at the house naturally. Not once did I call on Jesus or the Lord. Not once.
yeah, absolutely. So I like these comments coming in. Let's see, where are we? Taisha said European holidays. I love what she said. I love that. She always. Amanda said because a lot of us don't have anything else. Christianity even deems alternative education as demonic. And the same thing I was just talking about. That's another one of those defense mechanisms. They tell you that anything that's not Christianity is demonic. It could be anything as long if it's not in the Bible. Then they say that is demonic. That is
Mhm.
a way to keep us from reading or exploring outside of the Bible. That is a way to keep us trained and keep us in mental bondage and slavery to this faith, to this religion. If this religion and this faith and this deity was everything that people say it is, then it
Mhm.
would not have a problem with us reading outside, because the things that we would read outside of Christianity would validate the things within Christianity.
Mhm.
The problem is that they know that the things outside of Christianity would not validate the things that are in Christianity. So therefore, they put these things in place like a invisible fence to keep you from going outside of it, because they understand that if you were to start this journey, were to start thinking for yourself and reading outside of the Bible, that chances are that you would leave this mental oppressive prison that we call Christianity and religion. Stacia, you had something?
That's absolutely. I have nothing else to add to that. That's absolutely perfect because everything you do thinking for yourself is demonic. Thinking for yourself, going outside of the Bible's supposed to be the only book you own, and probably a few of them are daily bread books. That's the only books that they want you to have. Anything outside of that is demonic, that challenges it. How is it that the Bible is this one book? And it's the same book that maybe well, not maybe, but it's the same book my grandmother read, probably my great grands, all the way to 1492 or whatever. But when I being in college, brother Willie, you can vouch for this. You can't use the same textbook from last semester for this one. It's always a first edition, second edition. It's always a new book. Why is it that the Bible doesn't have any revisions? If saying slaves obey your master is so bad, how come they did not revise and take that out? If it's saying, the stuff about, I think there was that one story about killing the babies, killing the firstborns, and if your wife is impure, a woman is impure, do something else to her. Why hasn't the Bible been canceled? I think that'll be a great video topic. The Bible needs to be canceled, because when you look at cancel culture today, the Bible should be the first thing on the list to go. But
Taisha,
nobody wants to touch that.
you just gave me my next topic.
There we
We
go.
will be cancel the Bible.
There we go. It needs to be canceled. It
Yep.
needs to be canceled.
Yep. If you from a pragmatic standpoint, uh, if we're concerned, and we being a society, and those of you guys who are parents, Taisha makes an excellent point. It's a point that many people don't look at. But if you look at the amount of violence and misogyny and oppressive behaviors and rape and just in asinine amounts of mythology and things that are totally unbelievable and things that go against science. The Bible has a monopoly on the amount of that. I mean, they don't have a monopoly on it, but the Bible is number one in many of those categories. I was reading a scholar, and I got to find the scholar's name and information, but they did a study on the amount of deaths that God is responsible for in the Bible. And it was,
God's kill count.
yeah, and it was like 2 million plus. And here's the other flip side of that. They also did the count on how many deaths the devil was responsible for. And I think it was something like 10. Right? So 2 million plus, your beloved, all-knowing, I love you more than your parents love you, deity is responsible for 2 million plus killings in the Bible. And then the devil, who he tells you is the bad guy, is only responsible for 10. I think it was less than 10.
Isn't the book called Paradise Lost, where it gives us the Bible from the devil's perspective? Is that the right book that I'm thinking about?
I'm not sure about that. But
Okay, yeah, there's some book where things are told from the devil's point of view, and they say once you read that, it gives you a whole different view of this so-called God, of this good versus evil, God versus hell. Because I look at it this way: when I see certain people on social media to get on my damn nerves with their religious posts, stuff like that, and they're like, "Well, you're going to hell," or this is what heaven. And when I see pictures and depictions of heaven, I'm like, "Well, shit, send me to hell, because I don't want to be up here all this white. I hate snow. That's why I left Ohio and I live in Georgia. All this white, and people, if the most evil people can repent and they up there, let them be up there. Send me to hell. That's where I want to go.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let me see some more of these comments. So, Amanda, you wanted to drop the title. Are you talking about the ISIS papers or Before the Mayflower? Who Barone, who's the author of Before the Mayflower? I gotta get his name. But if
Don't
you
worry,
type in Before
I'll
the
look it up.
Mayflower, it's easy to find. It's very, very popular book. Let's see, where else were we? Taisha gave Dr. Francis Welsing the ISIS paper keys to the colors. Christine said, if you start asking questions to the pastor and leaders, you will not get an answer that makes any sense. And you'll soon be pushed out of the tour or ostracized by the members until you leave. Been there, done that. A lot of people have. Amanda is telling you to not to use common sense. Is dumb. Absolutely. That's what a lot of this is about. Thank you, Christine. Teach the truth. Get rid of the confusion. Absolutely. Neo X has joined us. Oh, what's going on, Neo? Neo is my people too. Glad to have you with us, Neo. Join in. You got any questions or comments? Join in. Neo, I send these when I schedule this stuff, I send a link to Taisha as well. If you're available, Neo, we're gonna let's have you on. If you got time, you want to come on in 2 weeks. We're gonna talk about canceling the Bible. Taisha gave me the title, so that's what we're gonna talk about. So if you want to
You
be
and Neo
on,
will
let me
be
know. I'll see the
perfect
link.
for that one. I will be in the audience, because y'all gonna have to fire for that one. I'm
So I'm gonna
sitting
get
back and
Neo.
watching. I'm sitting back and watching on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my partner Neo to do that with me. So we'll do that. Christine said, if you cancel the Bible, then you must replace it with something else, not promote justice balance between end racism and replace it with justice.
Produce
We
justice. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a problem with
I've
canceling the Bible.
replaced mine with Neely Fuller Jr.'s book, so that's my Bible. So I don't. I mean, I still own my Bible. It's in the. I actually saw it. It's in the garage, but I replaced it with the counter racism book. That's what I replaced mine with.
I
Great
actually
great book.
think I actually think my wife and I got rid of our Bibles. We may have one around here somewhere. I think we actually may have got rid of it, but
I
you
kept
know,
mine just to go back sometimes and just look and see how silly I was. I go and I read the little journal where I wrote prayers and just,
yeah,
look
yeah,
back
yeah,
like, "Oh my gosh, Taisha." Now, I
yeah.
had to delete the old Facebook page because if I had to saw those, on this day, what I was talking about, oh my gosh, I'd jump out the dang old window, but, yeah, I kept mine just to go back and look, and it gives me, a bit of patience and understanding, with those who may still be in the faith because it's levels to this. How they say, there's steps to grieving. There's definitely steps to deconversion and steps to leaving. So I try to keep it there to see where I was mentally, where I was spiritually, and look at myself now, and
Yeah.
then remind myself you ain't going back. You ain't going back to that belief system like that. No.
So, oh yeah, LaRon Bennett. That's who I couldn't think of the name. So yeah, before the Mayflower by LaRon Bennett, excellent book. Get that book, please. Amanda said, "Cancel the Bible culture." I love that. So maybe we'll cancel the Bible and cancel Bible culture. It's gonna be great. Neil already said, "Hey, I got Neil. I got witnesses." Neil says she would love to. So she's booked. She's on it. So we are good. Thank you, Texas Goddess. How you doing? What's going on? Glad to have you. Amanda said, replace the Bible with our blocked and unused brain cells. Perfect. That is perfect. Absolutely. Sharon else said, I have to tell people that I don't reject the Bible without reading it. That I did reject the Bible without reading it first. That
Oh,
is the
that's their
easiest way
first
to
go-to.
reject it. That's yeah, yeah. Oh,
The
that
first go-to. You
did
know
you
what?
read
I
it?
was watching a movie called Sling Blade. It had Billy Bob Thornton, and if you're not familiar with it, he played this character who was in the nut house because he committed a crime as a child, and his little elevator speech about himself is, "I read the Bible cover to cover. I understand a great deal of it," or something like that. But I like how he said that. It was really cool. I think another video idea is movie quotes that challenges the Bible because I can think of three of them right now. Sling Blade got that one, and then because he went back to his father. He as an adult he went back to his father and he said, "I've read the Bible cover to cover. I understand a great deal of it, but that stuff that you told me was not in there about, there was some stuff that I won't give up the movie, but yeah, that's a good movie with a quote about the Bible where it's actually true, where people, are told things. Well, God says this, the Bible says this. When you go read it for yourself, you see it's not in there like that, or it's really jacked up. But when I say I'm leaving the religion, I'm leaving the faith, I've done my research. It's not just I woke up today with this feeling, although you absolutely are legit and feeling that way. And if you don't feel like it today, then leave it. But we've researched it and questioned it and sought the answers out for ourselves. And we made the educated decision to walk away from it.
Yeah, and what I've told people who when they've engaged me in these conversations, we talk about leaving Christianity, leaving religion, whatever it is, and then they make the excuse, well, church hurt. Did someone hurt you in church, whatever? And I tell them, I said, listen, I said, in my experience, the people that I know that were true believers at some point and left the church, and left maybe not left the church, but left Christianity. It had absolutely nothing to do with church hurt. And I've said this before, what church hurt does, it opens the door to you questioning what's going on. What actually makes a person leave Christianity or any other religion that they're a part of is the fact that they're going to search for the evidence to prove that what they believe in is true, and they don't find that evidence. It is the fact that you read. I've talked to a lot of atheists who were once Christians, and the one thing that they all have in common as to why they left Christianity was that one day they actually sat down and read the entire Bible. And when they did that, that more than anything else made them become atheists. And so I tell people all the time, it's not about church hurt, it's not about any of these other reasons that you would love to blame it on. It's really about reading the Bible and not finding the adequate empirical evidence that the things that you were told or that you thought from this faith were true, come to find out that they were not true. And so that's part of it. And so going back again, the topic is Christianity and racism. I want to give you guys three things to think about when we talk about Christianity and racism. Why we should be taking a look at this stuff, especially as African Americans. Before I say that there are, I was talking to somebody, I listened to a podcast with somebody, and they said the two groups that in this country that should never ever be Christians based on what the Bible says, what the Bible does, are African Americans and women. Those are two groups of people that should never be Christians, right? But I want to give you this right here. First of all, colonizers, Europeans that came over to this country, claimed that they discovered another country. Their number one reason for causing genocide to the Native Americans that were here at the time was this thing called manifest destiny, which basically they believed that God, it was divinely inspired by God for them to kill all of these Native Americans and have the land for themselves. When you look up manifest destiny, take a look at what that's about. So here it is, based on a belief system, based on belief in a deity. You come to a new country and you genocide all of the inhabitants of that country, but you believe that this is what God has told you to do or manifest for you to do. Secondly, when we look at the Civil War, now we've heard, we those African Americans, those of us African Americans understand the real reason behind the Civil War was the preservation of slavery in the South, right? Now, they'll make it anything else they want to. They can say it's for states' rights or whatever. We understand states' rights simply mean from coming from the South, North, leave us alone. Let us continue our economy with slave labor, free slave labor. That's states' rights. That's what they meant by it without saying it. But also understand this: the South believed that they were fighting as a favor from God, that they were favored by God. Now listen to this. Um, when they believe that a lot of Southern people after the Civil War, Southerners, and even to today, they don't believe that they necessarily lost the Civil War. They believe that God is punishing them, that God is trying to teach them a lesson, and that they will be on top again. When you hear Southerners say the South will be back, that's really what it's about. They believe that in losing the Civil War, technically losing the Civil War in their opinion, it really wasn't about losing, it was about God teaching them a lesson, punishing them for not being more Christian like. And the third thing is we think about the enslavement of our ancestors. Originally, first done by people of Arab descent, Islam, believers in Islam, but the colonizers from Europe, the first people that they sent to African countries to enslave us were what? The missionaries. The missionaries. You see these things on social media where the missionaries are giving the Africans, the enslaved African, well, not enslaved at the time, but the Africans, the Bible, and in return, the colonizers, the Europeans, are taking the land and all of the resources. So think about that. Here we are talking about Christianity and racism, but understanding that how Europeans, colonizers got their foot in the door in African countries were through missionary trips, and they would send in missionaries with the Bible, right? But then eventually the warriors or whatever would come in, and that was that. So again, for us who are thinking about this from a analytical standpoint, outside of the box, things that we've never been taught or we refuse to think about, you think about manifest destiny. Again, a Christian, God-led belief system by oppressors that was divinely inspired by God for them to take over this country and genocide an entire nation of people that existed here before they got here. Secondly, the Civil War. The reason for the Civil War, in a lot of people's eyesight, was that it was the favor of Almighty God. That they really didn't lose the war, they being the South, but that it was just a lesson that they should be taught, and that their time is coming back. And finally, think about the missionaries that were the first ones from Europe, the colonizers that went into Africa, as a sense to sort of fool us, call themselves civilizing us, bringing us to Jesus, when Africans predated Europeans, and their culture, African culture, and African religious practices, or not religious practices, but spiritual practices, predated anything that the Europeans had. But yet, you come to my country, my homeland, and tell me that what I'm doing is barbaric, and uncivilized, and you're here to civilize me with your belief system. That by the way, many parts of it you stole from other societies and belief systems that existed long before you ever existed. Taisha, you got anything?
That is, the missionaries are definitely part of a the missionaries are a war tactic, if I'm phrasing that sentence correctly, because when you have an opposing party, when they are going to battle or going to war against another party, their first step, or one of the first steps, is to dehumanize them, not see them as human, not see them on your level, not see them as living, breathing, loving, functioning humans. You see them as beasts, you see them as uncivilized, you see them as dirty, you see them as, everything that would justify you going in there and wiping them out, taking their resources, murdering them. And it was pointed out in Dr. Barashango's book, African People and European Holidays and Mental Genocide. I believe it was book one, where he was talking about how in DC, um, it was really racist up there. Like, when you think of Washington D.C., well, when I think of Washington D.C., it was a shocker. Like, yeah, there was slavery in Washington D.C. and in that area, and how the Europeans, they snatched babies off, like breastfeeding babies off of the mothers, and the streets were just stained with blood, and things like that. And I'm like, for someone to not see the beauty of that, the respect for another life, and do things like that, feed them to the dogs and stuff like that. That's just, it's beyond cruel. That's evil. That's pure evil right there. And not I could not accept their belief system, what helps them sleep at night. And that's what I summarize religion as. Religion is what helps evildoers sleep at night, because they have to find a way to calm themselves and to chill themselves out, to put themselves in a vulnerable state after doing all these evil deeds. And it's just, it's wild. And that just goes back to racism. How can you go and sit in church on a Sunday and praise the Lord, but then you have a lynching scheduled that afternoon? There's actually a great book. I was just in Montgomery, Alabama. I went to the new Peace and Justice Memorial and the museum. They have a new building, because I went when I first came to Georgia. It was in a smaller building in Montgomery, but now it's in a even bigger building. And there's a book. There was like a video. This brother was talking, and it occurred here in Georgia. The book is called "Chasing Me to My Grave." I haven't read it yet. I just ordered it, but I ordered it while I was pregnant, and I didn't want to read it while I was pregnant. But he talks about his lynching and how he survived it. And this was not 100 years ago. This brother right here, I believe he's still alive, or if not, he passed away a few years ago, but his book is written in the current times. But this stuff is still going on. It's still happening. And if anything, the church as we know it in religion was not a refuge for Black people and the injustices that we face on this land. As
Yeah,
much as we are devout, we give the most money to it. It has not been loyal to us. There has not been a return on investment. There's no such thing as reciprocity.
yeah. So, Christine asked the question, what is the definition of the word racism? I think, first of all, Taisha gave a great example, a great visual, if you would, of racism. When people can go to church, when white people can go to church on a Sunday and sing and praise to their God, and then later that afternoon can go and watch the lynching of a black person. That is the picture definition of racism. But I'm going to read to you the actual the I guess the official definition of racism: prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized group. So now you asked the question, going back to the picture that Taisha painted for us, the reason why they're able to do that, their defense, and they had to come up with this, they being the oppressors, is that they started to believe that we were not human, that we were less than human. So you're not, in their mind, they're not mistreating another human, they're mistreating a subhuman. And so that is the basis of, and I had this conversation. I literally said this to a professor one day. I said, the reason why you can have a white police officer shoot and kill a 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 8-year-old black child is because in the mind of that white police officer, that child, that black child is not human. See, what happens if there's a white child, that police officer sees that child as his child, could possibly be his child. He sees that child as one of him. When you're able to, and we've had this discussion on this podcast before, when you're able to other a group of people, then you can treat that group of people any way you want to. When you're able to other and dehumanize that other group of people, that's how you get to where we are now with the way we've been treated in this country for 40 years. So they don't see us as human. Going all the way back to these scientific experiments, the Tuskegee experiment, the so-called the doctor who did a lot of gynecological testing, and he used black women. His excuses were because he didn't believe that they were human or as human as white people were. Uh, there are still studies out today that tells you that today, a majority of people who go to med school believe that black people don't feel pain the way white people feel pain. I'm talking today. They've done
I have a
recent studies.
screenshot of a book. I have to find it. I have a
Yeah.
screenshot of a book somebody posted that lists all of the different biases that float around in medical school. And
Yep.
not to keep to my own horn, but that's the reason why I did not go and give birth at the hospital. I gave birth right here in my own home. So that I
Yep.
actually need to do a video. Now I have this makeup on and my hair. I need to go live and get this off my chest. But that's a great.
Yep, absolutely. And so let me get to some of these before we wrap up. I always like to get to the comments. They think this is Amanda. They think they're slick by going to get your favorite lynching, lying preachers and sell out gospel artists to records. The Bible experience to pull in and even more. Yeah, but we falling for it. That's our culture. That's what we do. That's what we respond to. But don't fool yourself. They've done studies on us. Other groups study us like animals. They know how to sell to us. There's some videos out and books out about the philosophy and the psychology behind selling to black people.
There's a
That's
video
it's a
right
study.
here on YouTube. It's called How to Sell to the Negro or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I've
right here
seen
on
that
YouTube. It's about
several times.
20 minutes long, but it's
Yep.
here on YouTube.
Yep, I've seen it several times. Absolutely. Let's see. Taisha said United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept Textbook by Neely Fuller Jr. At Produce Justice. Thank you, Taisha, for that.
.com. Whenever I put
.com. All right.
.com, whenever you put like a link in your comments, it blocks it, but .com.
Okay, got it. And then Taisha said Mayflower has an Audible sample. Check out the Audible sample. It's a great book to have in your possession. You need to have that book in your library. Neo X says doing. Dang, I never knew that. Not sure what because we've been talking for so long. Neo, I missed that part. But thanks, Amanda. I can't even believe that we even accepted this foolishness with no questions asked. Amanda, and we all know this, but that's a process That was a calculated process over God knows how many years. I try not to ever blame our African ancestors for things that happened because there is more to the story than we hear about, and you have to really get into the woods of it to understand what was really going on. Secondly, I'm not one of these people who say I'm not my grandmother, or we're not our grandparents, because what that does is that negate the fact that we had many ancestors in our grandparents' times and before that did fight back, that wasn't about the BS, that didn't fall into Christianity, that did everything they could, and they died trying to do that. So we don't know the full story. And secondly, without those grandparents and ancestors, none of us will be here today. So I always try to pay respect to the ancestors, and I don't do that to them. You act differently when you know differently. You perform better when you're given different tools. But think about this: if some of those ancestors back then saw us today, saw us collectively today, what would they say? Would they be happy with how we are as a collective community? So we never think about that, because they probably would have been hoping that we would be further along in many aspects of our culture in our society today where we're lacking. So always remember that, for people who remember that. Let's see, I thought the Christian believes God is the God of love and not war. That's a good point. What white Christians do, evangelicals do, the whole love thing, the whole turning of the cheek thing was for us Africans, the enslaved, because what they didn't want to do is they didn't want us to turn on them. So they taught us this whole love thing. You got to love your enemies. Who else would come up with that BS? Love your enemies. That's not natural. I've
Your
said
enemy.
that before. Why would you love your enemy? That makes no sense. That makes no natural sense. Turn the other cheek. Watch, you can hit me again. So that's just some crap that they came up with. But when it comes to them conquering and having and taking the things that they want, then they say it's divine. It is orchestrated by God for them. And they can point you to scriptures in the Bible that will show you where God instructed, condoned, blessed people who took the things that they wanted through violence. And so it's all there. So don't be fooled. That whole love was for us to keep us in our place, and it is still working. Our community of people, we are loving, we are too forgiving, we are too turn the other cheek, we are too passive, but all of that stems from what we were taught and what we taught ourselves in our interpretation of these scriptures that we call the Bible. Uh, let's see. Christina said, "I can't believe it because most of us were left, who left Christianity once believed these lies. And I'm so glad I'm not out. I'm not out, and hope this information helps others to start asking more questions." I think that is a good point, Christina, to probably try to wrap this up on. But absolutely. Again, I'm just like all of you. I spent 40 years believing, if not all of this, most of this. And the part that I probably didn't believe, I was very apathetic to. It didn't matter. I didn't ask questions. I didn't question it. Whatever was told to me, I either accepted it or didn't bother to question it until I got out. So again, I'm with you on that, Christine. I hope that this helps people. At a minimum, I hope that these podcasts, and particularly this one, help people to just say, listen, at least let me start to pull the layers back on the onions. Let me start to read some of the books that Willie and Taisha, some other people have suggested. Just begin with that. Just read some of those books with an open and objective mind, right? Just start to read and then follow up and do your own research. There is way too much information out there. It is too easy to get the information that's out there for us not to at least be aware of the information. And if you read the information, if you do your research, you do your study, you take this journey, and you still decide that, hey, Christianity is for me, then so be it. But don't do it from a point of ignorance and not knowing. Do it from a standpoint of, okay, I've acquired this knowledge, I've done this research, I've done this reading. and this is where I am. Medical apartheid. Christine's talking about medical apartheid. Sharon said, I'm currently through it, and I'm a veteran at the VA. Okay, cool. Sharon, you got to tell us more about that. Let's see, Amanda and Christine, thank you so much. I am definitely in the questioning stage of transition. Perfect. Amanda, get these books. There are a lot more. I also want to give you, I had this before Taisha said her book, but I wanted to show you this book. I told you guys a few weeks ago that I was going to try to have a book for you guys to take a look at every time we come together. Taisha, we talked about the ISIS paper thanks to somebody else who brought that up, and then before the Mayflower as well. But there's another book called The Cross and the Lynching Tree. The reason why I thought this would be appropriate today is because the book is by James Cone, Professor Dr. James Cone, who died not that many years ago, but is an excellent man, excellent professor. But in these books, he has another book too called God of the Oppressed. He has several books, but these two books really talk about some of the stuff we talked about today, which is us um, giving defense to the racism in Christianity. Dr. Cone's position is that we as a community accept these things because we feel like we are aligned with the suffering of Jesus. So it makes it almost acceptable and expected that we as a community have gone through slavery and racism because it's part of our suffering, and we see ourselves aligned with Jesus because of Jesus' suffering. So you can take with it, you can take from it what you want. I've brought this subject up to a couple of professors of mine, and they, for lack of a better word, they don't like the quick synopsis that I come to about what he's saying, and they think that I would get a lot of pushback if I challenge this theory that not a theory, but challenge what he's saying. They think that there's a lot more substantive stuff to it than that. But in a nutshell, and I've read both books, in a nutshell, that's his premise that we are at best we are accepting of our position, social, economic, and social condition as a people because we feel like it aligns us with Jesus Christ because he suffered. And I mean, that's just in a nutshell, but you can read it. But that's what, so this book talks about that. And there's another one called God of the Oppressed. The title tells you, even this title, The Cross and the Lynching Tree. So he combines, the cross and the lynching tree, which is our symbol of suffrage. And God's or Jesus' symbol of suffering is the cross. I think we talked about that when we first started, Taisha, talking about the cross and the symbol. So yes, it's a great book. You
Yep,
guys check
ties
that
it
book
all
out.
up.
Yeah, so it's the cross and the lynching tree by James H. Cone. So you can get that book as well. But
Mhm.
somebody said thank you. I'll check it out. Check it out. Let's see. We still got comments right. Dead fighting. Javon, how you doing, Javon? Glad to have you. Christine get upset with at Christine. Christine get upset when you would try to get them to think and ask questions, and they go back to making excuses for the mythology.
Yep.
Um, that's a lot of them. It happens so often. They will look you right in your face and tell you everything you're saying makes sense, but they still don't believe.
Mhm.
I've literally had that happen to me. I better understand. Shout out to your ancestors, Mark Essick. Look him up. That's from Taisha. Mark Essick, Essex. Look him up, please. Most likely not. Christine, racism, white supremacy is a global system of people who classify themselves as white, who are dedicated, dedicated to abusing and subjugating everyone in the known universe, and they classify as non-white. I love that definition, Christina. That is true. Taisha, get the book, How to Make a Negro Christian. So we give you guys like 4 books
Mhm.
today. So how to make the Negro Christian by Kamaya to Hootie. I probably should have let you announce that, Taisha.
What's the name? Kamal Tahuti. Yep, that's
Come
it.
out to Hootie. Okay. Share, absolutely. Crossing the Lynching Tree by James H. Cone. Taisha's put that in there. This talk, for some reason, has disturbed me even more when Taisha described pulling babies off of their mothers.
I
I
want to
don't
say
know.
sorry about that. I'm sorry when I want a tangent about that. I forget at times, like I won't say desensitized, but just being in the military, but and then also, investigating crimes and stuff like that, it has made me, I'm not the common person when it comes to graphic scenes like that. And I should not have said that. So I greatly apologize.
Well, I mean, it's part of it, and
Mhm.
we've never talked about um, where the term gator bait came from.
Yeah.
I won't get into that because that might upset you guys. But if you want to take a look at that, look it up,
Mhm.
and you guys will know where that came from. But stuff like that, I mean, it's just the total inhumane treatment. Inhumane is not even a strong enough word.
Mhm.
The inhumane treatment of our ancestors and our people by other so-called human beings it's beyond the pale for me. And the more you know, the worse it gets. Medicine God of Depression, yeah, God of Depression by James Cone. It's this other book. The last three comments, Texas God is say, has anyone noticed the animal foster care culture? These animals are literally treated better than we're treated, and I'm for the the humane treatment of animals. You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. They are treated better than what.
Replacement
I mean,
children.
if you kill a police dog, that's almost like killing an actual police person.
Mhm.
You will get serious prison time for killing a police dog, even if that police dog attacks you.
If Roe versus Wade applied to dogs, this whole country be upside down.
Upside down, be turned. Yep. Let's see. Christine, we taught behavior and we must let it go because it is not helpful to our well-being. Absolutely. No, please keep going, Taisha. I'll tell you what you to continue to talk about it. You said thank you. And finally, Texas Goddess says, we know these things, but being reminded we need this.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Christine Gus T. Renegade constructed that definition of racism. Okay, thank you. Mary Counter, races use the definition because it describes it in a few words. Absolutely. And finally, Neo said, Taisha, I would love to interview you. I think that'd be awesome. You guys would be powerful. So you guys hook it up, Taisha and Neo.
Got this
So
written down to email me at TaishaEssex at gmail.com, and we can definitely make that happen. I
okay,
tell you my ad, so I think my comment is blocked. If you'll have to approve it on your YouTube side, but yeah, Taisha, my name Taisha.essex at gmail.com.
oh, I need to approve it. Is that what you said, Taisha?
Yeah, but it'll come from the YouTube side because if you put
Okay,
links and stuff like that, it's
okay,
automatically blocked. So yeah.
okay. I'll approve it when I get it to come up
But just
on
hit
my
me up
YouTube.
on my YouTube channel and go to the about page and my contact is there. So yes, I'm definitely there.
Okay, good. When is the next podcast? Great. Thank you, Amanda.
Great
Great
question.
question. We're in on that. It's gonna be 2 weeks from tomorrow. So what's tomorrow is the 9th, so that's for the 16th. So that would be what, the 23rd?
23rd. Yep.
The 23rd, Thursday 23rd. We will be counseling the Bible and counseling Bible culture. So get ready for
With
that.
EOX.
With Neo X as my special guest.
Yes.
So this is gonna be fine. So Neo is also, I think I did Neo's show a couple of weeks ago, right, Neo?
Great
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Great,
yeah, a
great,
couple of
great.
weeks ago. So yeah, we did that. Neo, I had to fool with Neo. Neo, my shows only go an hour 15. Neo got shows that go 6 hours, y'all. So if y'all
Yes.
if y'all got 6 hours to kill and you want to hear some really good stuff, but it's about 4 hours. I think 2 hours is probably. I left last week and it was 2 hours and it was still going.
Put
So
your
I
earbuds
know.
in and then I call them earbuds myself. Like, no, mom, it's AirPods. But put your earbuds in and they help you get through the workday or whatever you're doing.
Yeah. So her shows be low, but they be good. She has some good, really, really good guests and some great commentary. So love it. But thank you guys. This has been awesome. Appreciate it. I'm gonna use a Bible term, a Christian term. We were blessed today with Taisha joining us. And so that is great. Glad to have all of you guys. Thank you guys for being here, for joining. Still trying to, we need to get more and more people listening. So I'm gonna keep doing it. So
Share, share,
if
share,
it's if
share.
it's 5 or 5,000, we're gonna continue to get it going and continue to do it.
Share and tag a
Uh,
friend.
yep, absolutely. Share and tag a friend. Please, please, please do that. Tag a friend and share or whatever, however Taisha said it. Just do it. So
I
it's gonna be inspired. It is. So good. We'll see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks from tomorrow. Thank you so much.